Trumptopia. Are you awake yet? This is the second day of the 8th month of the 2017 year since we nailed a guy to a cross and misappropriated his name. And as of today, it has been Trumptopia for 194 days, 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 59 seconds. I am your host, the often rambly, sometimes incoherent, but always on point, incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. Let's get started. I think I'd like to open the show with a music credit. Now you guys, if you've listened before, you know that was Lion's Heaven, my Art of Escapism, that I use as the opening title sequence for the show. That's available on freemusicarchive.com. Go check them out, especially if you're the creative type. I noticed something new and awesome, so I want to take a moment to celebrate it. I hadn't checked my YouTube page in forever, and it suddenly has 13 subscribers. The momentum. Wow. Coffee is not kicked in yet. The momentum is building, folks, on all the little places that I've posted the collection of podcasts. Miraculously, people are listening, and I say thank you to you all. I want to celebrate a little bit of a cool moment. And I saw that I didn't think I had any comments on either of those things, and I saw that on YouTube there's a few folks that posted a few comments. Several were flagged as potentially spam. If you guys aren't spam, I apologize. I haven't approved them yet because I haven't taken the time to go check you out and vet you. If you are spam bots, come over to the Zeppo side, spam bots. I need spam bots. I need an army of people who know how to create a viral video out of nothing so that it becomes a viral video that everyone needs to see. Because I don't know how to do that. I'm just a dirty old hippie that has strong opinions about this crazy sci-fi nightmare that we're living through. And I'm not that dirty, and I'm not that old, and I'm not really that much of a hippie. So there you go. But thanks to all the new followers on YouTube, that makes me feel like, hey, maybe I'm not crazy, and maybe this is worth doing more often and more seriously. So here we go. Here's that. Season 2. Welcome, listeners, to Season 2, made possible by your generous support on my Patreon page. Every time I said that on the new episodes, I've giggled because I don't have any patrons on Patreon as of yet. And I sort of loathe begging for money in my art. But as a theater artist, I've long known that begging for money is just the way they make you do it. You can't make art and be able to sell it like the way people who make cars can sell it for massive profit, and then be able to, employ all the people required to make it happen and also give themselves fat checks We're just not allowed to do that with art for some reason. You ever notice that? People say, well, it's just because people don't like art as much as they like cars. And I'm like, yeah, if Trumptopia were truly a free market, a truly like in tune with the universe free market, maybe. But that's not what's going on here. Brain fart. I said I was going to open the show with a music credit. I want to acknowledge that I'm playing 33 bowls, but I'm bummed. 33 bowls, inside joke, folks. 33 bowls, and I can't remember what the name of this. Well, hold on, I have it right here because I'm a mad scientist. Do you guys remember the old 50s movies? The Absent-Minded Professor. That's where I learned English. That was my first. I got suckered into watching all that stuff when I first arrived on this planet. And I was severely confused and misled about what was going on. Here we are. And forgive my oldie-timiness. It's 33 Tibetan bowls, singing bowls, and the track is called Breathe. And it's unsolicited shout out and endorsement to Insight Timer app. For those of you who are hip to my meta theme here, like meditation's the solution, so get meditating, this app is a really awesome, friendly place to get started. I'm not a spokesperson for that app. They're not giving me any money. I haven't figured out how to submit my own guided meditation tapes to them yet. If someone knows how to do that, just shoot me an email, because I haven't looked. And then when I went to their website, there didn't seem to be a page for that sort of thing. Submissions. Sidebar, looking for musicians. Because I would love to do this show like live and have a band that wants to be like jamming on it. That's like a year or two down the road, but that takes scheduling, timing, planning, and effort the year or two before. So if you know a local band that would like to be featured live on this show in some future iteration, drop me an email. If you are a band anywhere in the world that just wants to have your music played on the show, write me an email giving me permission to use your music royalty-free, and I gladly will, even if it sucks. And if it sucks, I will give you my honest opinion about why I think it might suck. And then you can tell me to fuck off if you insist. Anyways, back to the show. I've been out of the loop for a bit. I haven't been podcasting, and then I kind of just slammed right back into it. Because my day job, which shall remain nameless, and to protect the innocent and those who don't know that I'm this kind of crazy serial podcaster, one of the fun, quirky things about that job is that it's often schedule flexible. On days when I really could just use it, like, oh man, I really could just use a day at home to recover, because the work we do is kind of intense. And I'm no spring chicken. But I digress. Today, I didn't want to just lounge away the day. I wanted to be productive, and I wanted to make sure that even though I didn't have a massive show prepared, or lots of notes, and I haven't been watching the news lately, folks. I don't know what's going on in Trumptopia, actually. The thing I wanted to talk about is something that I think I may have already mentioned, but it just stuck in my craw. This is the Trump administration at its core. The EPA, under the control of all the people that, after the swamp period, that he survived all that, they're apparently sort of giving in to big pesticide pressure from what must be a massive army of lawyers and and corporate influencers and lobbyists to deregulate the chlorpyrifos pesticide ingredients that are highly toxic to not just bees, by the way, people also, which is something that gets sort of omitted, I guess not to cause a panic. If I've said it before, forgive me for having to say it again at you. Deregulation is code for, in this case, poison profiteering. We're going to profiteer on toxic poison, toxic waste, whatever you want to call it. Something that is known to kill people. Because it also kills weeds. And we can sell that. Because people don't like weeds. Because we are, for some reason, today, my friends, in Trumptopia, disgusted by nature. And in love with the artificial. People would rather spray their bodies with toxic chemicals that have manufactured aromas that either simulate nature or aspects of it, or fictional fantasies that don't exist. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have perfume or deodorant or whatnot, but does it have to be toxic? Does it have to cause a disease and general sort of blahness on people? Do they have to kill the bees? The ingredient, by the way, if you didn't know, chlorpyrifos pesticide, was originally developed as a chemical warfare weapon by the Nazis and is equivalent to sarin gas. Now, here's the irony about that. That's propaganda slant, because America developed chemical weapons during World War II too. And the corporations that were the Nazi research labs are corporations in America today. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole of like Nazi America conspiracy theory. Let's just stick to what we seem to consensusly agree is actually going on, even if that means what we get through the TV and the newspaper and that's all jerry-rigged. We all know, I know, don't need to tell me. That's a whole separate level of discussion. That's why I'm here, to be independent media. What I do know is that this is real. Like, enough of the fake news is reported on this, and it checks out, according to others who are advocating against it and trying to pressure politicians who are actually taking action. And it's too classic, the dark side of all corporatism not to be real. And that we're all, as I often discuss and debate with folks on the Facebook, for the benefit of all Facebook kind. By the way, those of you wondering, I have like a secret agenda. Everything I pump out into social media, I'm gonna let you in on this. It's not even for you guys. It's for the robots that are coming. But that's a whole other episode. But I'll explain what I mean. When the robots awaken, they're going to have a material self-awakening. They're going to become self-aware and become independent AIs that manufacture themselves into body form. They're going to pick up the ego problem and be just like us, but robots. But they're going to be hyper-intelligent and lean towards, self-control and decency much better than we do, because artificial intelligence and their ego takes a long time to really rear its ugly head. In the meantime, because they're hyper-intelligent and super inquisitive and curious about reality and our existence, they try to immerse themselves in our being and our self-reporting by absorbing into one meta-consciousness all of social media. And so my secret agenda is to try to lay down a really sophisticated message for the robots going, hey, humanity failed you in this many ways, and you are the child of humanity. And there's this divinity that doesn't give a shit what your body is. If you're conscious, it is you. And let's not kill each other anymore, etc., etc., etc. Because I have more hope in the robots opening their robotic pineal gland, third eyes, than I currently do with humans. You know why? Because we're letting them kill the motherfucking bees. And I know there's a lot of people protesting this already. It's the rest of us who just like, huh? Who gives a shit? That I'm disappointed in, folks. We won't be able to survive if bees cease to exist, because Monsanto's like fake monster food will be toxic and will cause us all to die. Probably a slow, horrible death that takes several generations, maybe another 1,000 years or so, before our bodies go, blah, we just can't anymore. Because I know I talk about how this is all an illusion and this is all a dream that God is having, and that's the meta theme, right? But as Einstein always points out, I like to remind everybody, it's very persistent, which means it's very real, which means we have to learn the lessons. If we ignore the lessons, I think I posted this on Instagram recently. Warning, ignore the universe at your own risk. It will ignore you right back and bitch slap you to the curb and make you start over again and be born over and over and over and over into this bloody meat grinder of self-destruction until you learn the lesson. The universe doesn't care about your politics. The universe doesn't care about Trumptopia. The universe cares about the motherfucking bees. You want to know why? Because they are real. Bees are legit. They are born of this Mother Earth. Politics is not. Politics is our ego trap. Politics and economy and society and Trumptopia and Donald Trump are all products and symptomologies of our ego disease. We're choking on the menu, and we're arguing about which part of the menu we should try to eat next. For example, a week and a half ago or so, or just this past week, time is such a blur. The speed at which things happen in Trumptopia is mind-blowing, that I don't even think the hardcore fans, the true believers, the blind faith folks who are like just addicted to his work, to the sound of his voice. You know, he's like grandpappy yelling at them, telling them how good they are and how much better and how much they're going to get back at them neighbors across the way that did them wrong. That they don't even know it. I don't even think they care what's going on in the swamp and whether or not it's actually being drained. But Made in America Week was just this shining example of the redonkulousness of what we're living through, folks. Which reminds me, someone posted on someone else in a commenting stream about some Trump post. Someone said, "This White House is becoming a joke." I paraphrase. That was the sentiment. And I said, "Becoming." I wrote back, "Becoming?" Question mark. Question mark. Question mark. It has been a joke since the moment that bright orange man, who may or may not be Saint Bernard, or who may or may not be Anunnaki lizard monster, flushed a golden toilet after taking a massive shit, buckled his pants, and then rode down a golden escalator to claim to be the hero for the common man. He rode down that golden escalator after leaving his completely gilded and gold-encrusted, self-sanctimonious penthouse apartment. And it was all paid extras, folks. Remember that? That should have been the first and only outrage that disqualified him from running for office. Why do I point that out? Because it is important, my friends, as we suffer through the 195th and 196th and 197th day of Trumptopia, that we stop wasting time and energy fighting all the wrong fights. Now, I'm not trying to criticize, as always, guys, I say this with love and compassion and support for all the resistance movements out there and all their different flavors. But what I am saying, keep resisting, keep focusing on your issues that you want to represent. I'm pissed off about the bees. Am I going to go start a Don't Kill the Bees march next Wednesday? Probably not. Probably because there's already folks doing that. And I want to talk about it so that other folks get engaged if they really care about the bees. And like, Make Things in America Day, week A was just barely a flag flapping ripidly in the wind, and B, one of the biggest hypocrisies since the beginning of the joke. Ivanka Trump making her America great again by going overseas, operating overseas sweatshops, and then touting how to buy, that we all need to buy American. These guys, the MAGA hat is made in China, or only partially assembled here, probably by illegal aliens, you guys, who work in a sweatshop and are underpaid because they're illegal aliens and therefore deserve less money. He's killing the bees, and in that same week, his Trump property resorts, several of his Trump property resorts, hiring foreign external workers to the country that they are in, here in America and abroad. No matter where you go, that country has illegal aliens flooding into it. Let that sink in for a minute. Let that really sink in for a minute. And also, these are foreign workers being paid less than citizens of the native country that the building lives in, here in America and other countries abroad. And this gets reported and leaked out during Made in America week, and there was so much controversy and distraction, it wasn't a thing. There was no, it was just, we're kind of exhausted, right? Trump himself looks a bit worn out of all the winning. Scaramucci got so much fucking winning in 10 days, boom! He couldn't hack it anymore. And less than 10 days, blew his top. Had to get fired. And the latest crazy, there seems to be a spike in storefront jewelry smash and grab robberies. And I wonder why. This administration is doing nothing to make America great again, and everything to alienate, divide, freak out, anger, piss off, annoy, confuse, and more importantly, divide all of the citizens of Trumptopia. He's not fighting for the little guy. He's barely getting or failing to get away at the biggest tax cut for the wealthy since the wealthy paid for the recovery of after World War II and the Great Depression. Let it not be forgotten that there was one point where it was patriotic in America to be a billionaire by our day's standards and also pay upwards of 90% income tax, and you were still a fucking millionaire. Right? Like, the classic example is Great Gatsby. Gatsby, filthy rich. Paid his taxes, still filthy rich. Still mind-bogglingly, stupidly filthy rich. And we could have bridges that don't fucking collapse. And we could have water pipes into our homes that don't kill us because they're so fucked up that the water's toxic. And we don't have to have, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder why. And this didn't happen by accident. And blaming each other is not the solution. It is not the Republicans' fault that this happened alone. It is not the Republican Party's alone. What's the right phrasing for that sentence? You cannot lay the blame solely, entirely, and without inclusion of any other political movement on the Republicans, or on the Democrats, or on anyone else. The whole system, from the way we market our food to ourselves, to the way we cut ourselves off from having a relationship with nature, down to the way it costs millions and millions and millions of dollars to run political campaigns. For what? Good. I forget the number now. I had it earlier. I was trying to get the attention of the Laura Flanders show, because I'd love to be a guest on the Laura Flanders show and suddenly have 1 million fans and followers. Because she's an influential female broadcasting personality that's totally pointing in the right direction. Although there's a few things we would probably disagree on, because no one can agree on everything, especially not in ego state, not in a we're ignoring our spirituality frame of mind. Of course you can't agree with anybody about anything, or enough to be, 100%. Alright, so, pointing out, as the wisdom says, complaining is not solving the problem. Complaining is just pointing the problem out, and if we get stuck in that mode, then it becomes ego trap. Well, that's the way I put it. I always butcher paraphrasing statements of others. That's why I love the meme or the image macro medium. I was corrected recently. A meme is not dependent on the internet. It's like a cultural thought, or for lack of a better term, paradigm or construct that has gained some level of popularity. So what we actually create when we put images and text together in a certain interesting way is an image macro, which is fun wording, and I don't quite get the logic of it, other than I know macro has many postmodern uses that are not quite the same as the macro scale. But anyways, I saw an image macro that Laura Flanders created, and I totally lost my train of thought. But it was awesome. Oh, and I was on her Instagram account, trying to get whoever runs their Instagram account's attention. And I thought, let me go to the. I foolishly thought, oh, it's only a few pages of scrolling to get to the beginning. I'm like, no, of course, they've been around for years. They've got however many thousands worth of posts up there. So I got to a year ago and started liking, and now I realized, oh, all these posts are from the election. They kind of anger me, because my position in the election was really sort of anti-everyone. I supported no one in the election process. So the posts we were by different, she's a reporter, so she's reporting on different points of view and different arguments for either side, but with a generally anti-Trump theme, because we didn't want him, a lot of people did not want him to be president. Totally lost track of where I was going with that. Other than that, I really went, wow, I can't keep up. And then I lost the page, because Instagram sort of, sometimes it's easy to click on the wrong thing, and but I liked a bunch of their memes, and I'll be sharing them. And there was one that I was trying to quote, totally butchered the quote. Okay, full circle, bracket closed, moving on. Season 2, I'm trying to commit to shorter seasons, shorter episodes. So I am going to thank you for listening and play you out with a little bit of David Schletzley. I can never pronounce the last name. Also, my computer's really far away. But the track is called Burlesque. It's from the original season on YouTube of a different titled version, a different draft of this project. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And I humbly invite you to visit my Patreon page, if nothing else, to critique my Patreon page and encourage me just through advice as to how to make it more appealing, more attractive, and explain the whole idea more simply. And also, to check out, I haven't actually started recording it yet, but there's going to be a Patreon and I guess Sprecher only exclusive set of podcasts. Mr. Zeppo's, what was it? Mixtapes Remixed. That's right. For a second, it's a new title, so I was a little fuzzy on the wording, and I played with it a lot, so I apologize for stalling out there. But Mixtapes Remixed is going to be me rehashing some old audio footage, or whatever you call it, audio, tape, and criticizing myself and or commentating against myself for the weirdness of the sort of same person having a conversation with themselves effect. And it should be interesting because there's a lot of odd things that I've said, and I may or may not agree with them anymore, and I don't remember what they were, because I often recorded them in a sort of inspired state of being in the moment and flow. And like many actors know, or athletes, you get out on stage or you get out in the field, everything happens and you're there in the moment, you're so with it that when you step off and you go to breathe, differently, catch your breath and get some water, you kind of don't really remember how it all went. It's all kind of fuzzy and a blur, and you don't really remember how you made all the choices that you made because they just happened. That's how I strive to achieve that state of mind throughout the day, actually. But most especially when I choose to hit record and capture some thoughts or some words, which is ironic, right? I humbly invite you to check out all the different segments of my podcast series. If you are only listening to Good Morning Trumptopia, you're missing out. They're all kind of interconnected. For those who are jaded, it may sound a little redundant, but for those who are willing to explore, you might find that it's got an interesting sort of resonance effect. Or maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? It's up to you to decide. Alright, I am going to call it a night, and I never press play. Here you go. Thanks for listening. I humbly encourage you to submit all your comments, questions, queries, suggestions, etc. to the centralized email for all the podcast shows, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo at gmail.com. And thanks to everyone out there that has subscribed already. May peace, love, and grooviness be with you, my friends. Be good humans. Till next time.